Hello and welcome back to the fifth part of the zombie shooter tutorial series. Today we will be working on health pickups and on health bars, so let's get started with that. We will be using this sprite for that. It's some sort of bandage, which I think works fine. Let's decrease the size a bit so that it fits the crate. 0.25 should do it. And let's drag it onto the crate so that we can see if it actually fits. And it seems to be alright. So let's keep it like this. Yeah, maybe make it a bit bigger actually. Yeah, okay, cool. I think that's better. Let's change the name to health pack. Yeah, and let's add the components that we need. We need a rigid body 2D for the collision, and let's set the gravity to 0 so that it won't fall down. We also need a box collider, which will be used to trigger that we picked up this object. Let's change the size to just 1:1 because that's better, I think. I don't know. Seems a bit nicer. Yeah, what do we need other than that? I think that's it. Yeah, we don't need anything else, I think. Yeah, so let's just get a script. Create C# script, call it pickup. We will use again a derived variation of the pickup so that we have just one pickup class with all the pickup codes, and we have a health pickup with all the code for the health pickup specifically, so for increasing the health of the player. On the health pickup, we will just attach this health script like this and trigger. Is triggered set here so that it will not block the player but will interact with the player. Let's close all these scripts down except for the player because we will need it to increase the health, of course. This will derive from pickup and we can remove all of these lines of code. Let's go to the pickup and let's also remove everything here. Here we just create the onTrigger function, onTrigger2D. Let's change this to a other, like we do everywhere to keep it consistent. And we check here if other dot compare tag, yes. And we set that to player. This will allow us to check the game object if it is of type player. And if it is not, then this part will not be executed, of course. So let's open Unity again. Go to the player and set it to the player tag. The player tag is a default Unity thing, so you should already have it. If not, then you can just do the add tag and add it there. Here we will also need a protected void, virtual void. We call it onInteract. This will be something to call when we interact with the player. Okay, and in here we will override from that, of course, override from the interact function. So now if this, because we have the health pickup, of course, on the pickup in Unity, it will call the health pickup function in the health pickup. We also add the player component here so that we can interact with the player object. Because we have the collider 2D a other here, we can easily get the component of the player, like we do here. And that should allow us to interact with the player specifically. Also add it here, of course. Yes, that should be it. In here we can simply just say a player, I think. Yeah, a player dot, what shall we call it, like add health. Let's do it like that. We need, of course, a value for the health. So we create a serialized field, private, protected int. Now we should make it private because protected is something completely different and we won't derive from this again. And we call it mHealth. And let's set it to 3. Cool. Of course, we don't have in the player that function, so let's add it here. So the public void add health we'll make it public so that we can easily access this function from any place we have a reference to this player. Let's close this, and that should do it. Let's get the health, but we can't because I think we make it private inside the character. So let's go to the character. I'm doing a sort of shortcut, by the way, by clicking on character and pressing F12, which will bring me specifically to that script. So that's maybe nice to know. And we just plus equals it here to health, but we also have to do a check here, so that we make sure that we don't go over our max health of, I think, 10 currently. If the M health is bigger than the max health, then we will just say, well, health is equal to max health, which will make sure that we go back to 10. We also, of course, need to spawn the pickup itself, so we go to the crate, and we add a game object here. We make it a serialized field so that we can set it in the inspector. Make it private, and this game object will be called an mPickup. So this will be used as just like the bullet. We spawn the bullet prefab, so we do the same for the pickup, but we spawn it on top of the crate when we destroy the crate. So do game object P is equal to instantiation of the pickup, and we set transform.position equal to the transform.position of our crate. So yeah, that should do it. We have to, of course, make it a prefab first, so drag this into the prefabs folder. You can see that when the color is blue, then it means that it's prefab, so that it's clone. And now if we shoot this crate, you can see it spawns the pickup. Let's pause the game for a second to go to the player and debug, so that we can see the health, of course. Let's see, yeah, here. So you can see it's 10. So let's get hit by the zombie once or twice. Yeah, cool. So now we have 6 health. So if we walk on top of it, we have 9 health because we increase by 3. And if we walk on top of it again, we have 10 health because we make sure that we only have like the max health every time. So yeah, that works fine. Cool. So there's one thing we have to do. We have to go to the pickup, and yeah, we can do it here. We have to destroy the game object, of course, because we don't want to pick up this health component of health object like 12 times. So by doing that, it should get destroyed at the end. Okay. Cool. Let's get started with the health bar. We go to there and do the UI slider. So create a canvas and an event system for us, which we'll use for the health bar. For the health bar, we use this slider. Let's go back to normal and let's align everything correctly so that it will work fine for any resolution. Let's set all of this to 350 or something. That looks okay. 400, yes. I think that's a nice number. 50 is not 25. So let's split off the edge. See, here we set this to. Let's go back to full HD. By doing this, we will make sure that we align this UI with our screen resolution, so that for every resolution it will be somewhat similar placed. Let's do this again because what fucked up. Okay, let's make it 500. It's too much. 200, 300. Yes, 50. Make it a bit bigger. Let's do this to 50 and minus 50. That looks cool. Yes, let's keep it like this. We have to only change the slider a bit so that we don't see this handle anymore. So let's see the handle, make it 0, 0, and the handle itself also make it 0, so that you don't see that big knob anymore, because that doesn't look great. And in here we have to set this all equal to 0, and I think that should do it. There is a bit of offset there, so we have to fix that. And that should be inside. Fill. What is it? Can we make it bigger now? Oh, here. Okay, cool. So now that looks like a bar, like a progression bar, which we can use for the health, of course. Let's set this color to red, and this color. If you see, if we decrease the bar, it will be reddish. And let's set this to color like green or something. That looks pretty cool. Okay, so let's use this for the health bar. Let's change this to SLD, which will stand for slider, or SL, and do health bar. Okay, now let's go to the player. So we need to change the value of the UI of the slider, of course, so that it will fit with the health that we currently have. For that, we will have a serialized field here, private Unity engine.ui .slider. We use the Unity engine.ui .slider because we are not using the using Unity engine.ui, which you could also do. Yeah, it's just a namespace that we need to use for Unity UI in general. Let's in the character create a protected void, virtual of course, because we want to override it or use it again. So let's say it's HP update. So when the HP is updated, because we have taken a hit or we have gotten a health pack or something, we will call this function. Let's override it here, like this, and also call it like I mentioned here. We have to call it afterwards because if for some reason like our health gets higher than the max health, of course, we don't want to update then. We want to update afterwards because we need to change the health, because then the slider would try to extend more than that it actually can. We set this value equal to the health. This value is the amount that the slider has moved from the left, like how much percentage it has. And we can set the max value to the max health. By doing that, the slider will have a length from 0 to the max health size, and we set the value first to the health here, which should do the trick for us. So let's check that out. If we press play, it won't work, of course, because our slider has not been added there. So just drag it in, and as you can see, the slider fills up, and if we take hits, the slider decreases. Great. Oh, well, that's a bit cool. Let's go to the crate, and in the rigid body we can set some constraints. Yes. Let's freeze the rotation and freeze all those axes and try to mimic that because it's quite buggy. Let's see. Yeah, as you can see, I now just hit against the crate instead of make the crate fly all over the place. Well, that's it for this episode. In the next week episode we will look into spawning zombies and in some sound effects to make the game a bit more fun. We'll see you then. Bye!